Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. On this video we're going to be discussing using 5-star champions in the Carina's Challenge Volume 2 Abyss objectives. So as a quick reminder, there's an all mutant team in the Abyss, complete a full path. There's the Carina's Challengers one. There's just sort of a short list of champions that you can bring in that all bring something to the table, but may not be your normal Aegon, Doctor Doom, Torch type champions. And then there's the Green Goblin one where you have to use Spider-Verse, Sinister Six, or Symbiote champions to basically defeat 10 champions in the Abyss, take down Green Goblin, and then quit out. And the reality is, I do have a pretty stacked roster overall, but in order to make the ideal teams for all of these challenges, I would need to basically pull and rank so many champions that I just don't have or don't have the resources for. And because of that, I've had to go to 5 stars. And it got me thinking about what type of 5-star will be good for this type of challenge. And I think generically it's a good point to make that if you're looking at like a general lane clearer type champ, somebody who is going to be like your go-to, you really want to try to have that champion as a rank 3 or higher 6-star. But there are some certain utility champs or synergy champs that can also take a couple fights that I think will become MVPs. So we're going to jump right into this list. Some of this is based on my experience because I just completed the Mutants in Abyss one, and I have already planned out my teams for the upcoming ones. Over hopefully the next couple of weeks, I'll be knocking out the other 2, and they are definitely going to involve some 5 stars. Last thing I'll say is this is obviously just my opinion. I may be completely leaving out somebody that you have and you're planning to use as a 5-star, so please do leave a comment with some suggestions or some ideas that you may have about who is good in the Abyss as a 5-star. So I'm going to start with a few honorable mentions. Now let's get right into it. Honorable mention number 1 is actually Colossus. Now, I brought 565 Colossus on the Mutant in Abyss one, and I will say that primarily he was there for the Professor X synergy that allowed you to heal on poison. So I was able to run Liquid Courage for the entire run and basically get free willpower healing the whole time. That alone was MVP, and you basically only need a low rank 1 for that or a 5-star. But I was actually kind of impressed that when I was using Team Revives and he would come out and take a couple fights, that his damage per hit is actually quite high. And because mine is Sig 200, he's gaining a lot of armors, he's ramping up faster, he's tanky, and even though he was a 5-star, I was able to take a small chunk of damage off with a Team Revive so that he wasn't a useless member of the team. So if you are going to use the recoil tree strategy and run the Colossus synergy, if you have the 5-star, he can definitely hold his own in the content as well. Next up, we have another synergy partner that may be able to do some damage for you, and that's going to be Penny Parker. Now, specifically for the Spider-Verse challenge where you take down Green Goblin, if you don't have some of the best champs, or maybe you may want to do this strategy anyway, it's something that I may have to do. It's using Mysterio with the Penny Parker synergy. And now it's important to know that this synergy only works with a 5 or 6-star rarity of Penny Parker, which is certainly limiting. But again, my point with Colossus, if you do have a 5-star Penny Parker and she's ranked up, I do think that she can get a lot of damage done. The only issue is that she does have a lot of hits in her specials, so I do think that you're not going to get too much done, but it is nice to just have another champion that you can bring, and I did want to shout her out because of that synergy. And then finally, a third honorable mention, it's going to be a tie between She-Hulk and Shang-Chi. Now, undoubtedly, these two champions are fantastic as major clearing champions for the Carina's Challengers objective, but I would recommend having them as 6-star rank 3s or higher just because I think it's going to make your life a little bit easier to have those extra stats. However, if you have the skill to use both of them, they both have very easy to apply slow debuffs, which means in general you can survive into very late phases past the enrage timer. I'm thinking about Luke Cage. because his specials are very easy to bait if they're unblockable. If you can apply the slow debuff, you can have like 1,000+ combo fights with both of these champions very easily if you're a skilled player. And because of that, even though I personally don't think I have the skill to do it, these slow applying champions could be used as 5 stars if you wanted them to be your general clearers. All right. So now that we got these honorable mentions out of the way, let's go to the main list. These are the top 5 stars that you can bring into the Abyss for Carina's Challenges Volume 2. Coming in at number 5, we have Void. Now, Void has been an Abyss MVP since Abyss first came out. In a lot of ways, he was one of the champions that people used for the 100% clear as well, because he has one of the most reliable heal reversals and power control reversals in the game. He always has been that way. He always will be that way, especially in longer fights where you can ramp him up. Especially with a high sig Void, he can really do a lot of damage without hitting them that much. And additionally, he completely locks down the fight without you having to rely on AI or RNG for the most part. You'll eventually get there. Now, if you're planning to do Carina's Challengers, obviously you can't bring Human Torch in. There might be a Mephisto, there might be a Mordo, there might be a Darkhawk or an Old Man Logan or somebody that you need to reverse the healing on or be Incinerate immune or reverse the power gain on. He was an absolute stud for clearing Abyss 100% for me, even using the 5-star. And I will say the reason a 5-star can potentially shine more than a 6-star rank 3 is that you may not have a SIG 200 6-star, whereas I think it is pretty possible to get one of your 5 stars up to SIG 200 these days. My Void is already SIG 200, and the SIG just adds more attack to the point where he may actually out damage the 6-star rank 3 if that one is only SIG 20. And additionally, it gives you more uptime on the debuffs, which means the Petrify will never fall off. You'll get double reversal at certain points of the fight, and he's just a lot smoother of a champion to play. You can idle, wait for the coward timer to come up, hit them once, just let the debuffs do their work. It's pretty incredible to use Void as just a general clear as well, and the rarity doesn't really matter with him. He does what he does as a 565 absolutely fine, and it's because of that that he makes number 5. Coming in at number 4, we have Longshots. Now, I have a bit of a predicament myself because I do need a Mystic Champion to take on Carina's Challengers, and my options right now are to rank 3 Dr. Voodoo, to rank 2 or rank 3 Morningstar, or to take a 5-star Longshot, give him some SIG stones to get his SIG up, and then bring him in. And the reason I'm leaning toward Longshot over those 6 stars is that he has way more damage per hit, he is way more punishing for buffs, and nobody that he's going to face is going to be Incinerate immune to the point where he's going to be able to do a ton of damage even as a 5-star. Now, it's also important to note that his SIG ability gives him a nullify sort of out of thin air, kind of like Doctor Strange has. And also he can steal unstoppable buffs and unblockable buffs if he goes that way. Now, it's only a 60% chance to do this if you have a SIG 200 Longshot, which I'm highly considering SIGing mine all the way up. But it is a pretty decent chance. It's better than a coin flip that when you're facing the Champion or Hyperion or Medusa, if you're going on that path, that you're actually going to be able to steal the unstoppable that comes toward them. You'll be making more bad karma so that they can be even more punished by your Fate Seal and the Incinerates and everything. So I do think that he's going to be able to kill things faster than Dr. Voodoo, who I do think is a better champion overall. It's just when it comes to damage per hit, which is so important for the Abyss, he's not going to really be able to hold up. So if you have an unawakened 6-star or an awakened 5-star, you may have a little bit of a debate in your head whether you want to use the rank 2 or the 565. But in my case, I am leaning toward using the 565. I think it's going to be a really good time. Never really played the guy, but I am interested to learn him, and I do think that he makes the top 5. All right, coming in at number 3. Now, the theme has been utility, but there is one champion on this list that I think can absolutely smack it as a 5-star, as a main clearer, and that is Null. Now, Null is very new to the contest. He just came out in the new featured crystal. I personally have struck out and have not pulled him yet. I know some people are more lucky than I have been, and he is an absolute beast of a champion. We've been waiting for some kind of content where he can absolutely shine, and the Spider-Verse path is for sure one that he's going to be absolutely wrecking. Build up his Living Abyss, throw a level 3. It's just absolute decimation after that. And the thing is, I do think, even though earlier I said your main lane clearers need to be, a 6-star rank 3, I do think that a 5-star can get it done. It won't be as fast. It won't be as ideal. You'll run out of Abyss charges, maybe need an extra revive. But I do think that he is that good for the challenge, and he is so rare currently because he is not in the basic pool yet and whatnot, that I do think if you only have a 5-star, it may be worth going that route instead of trying to pick up like an alternative option for Green Goblin. So if you have Null as a 5-star, it may seem like a temporary waste of resources to use those precious catalysts, but if you want to get that challenge done now and you have the 5-star, I do think he's a great option. Now, staying with the Spider-Verse theme, we have one more from that challenge coming in at number 2, and that is surprisingly AntiVenom. Now, there is obviously a lot of heal reversal that is needed in the Abyss, the Darkhawk right off the beginning, the Old Man Logan we've already talked about, and AntiVenom, I do think that he has it. And when it comes to the Spider-Verse champions and the Sinister Six and the symbiotes, there really is not a lot when it comes to, loading up tons of debuffs and using the Petrify Mastery reliably. So you actually need a real heal reversal champion, unless if you're going to go a different route than, path 3 to path 1. But a lot of people are going to want to start with Darkhawk. And it is quite possible to get a good try. You get up your 4 Spectres, you throw special 1s, and you're able to throw another Petrify, and then you're basically reversing the healing off of Darkhawk. It is very, very doable. I've seen people do it. You may not get the solo, but it's an easy fight to practice on because it's the first fight in Abyss. And he has really been clutching it out as an MVP for a lot of people. If you bring the Spider-Man 2099 synergy, he actually turns off the Abyssal node because for some reason on Darkhawk, this is coded as a buff, so you don't have to worry about the power steal or anything like that. And I do think he's a very, very good option as a tag-along for the heal reversal fights, maybe also for Mephisto if you decide to go that path and you need an Incinerate immune. So yeah, he is a very interesting champion. We're finally seeing a use for him where we have the tag of symbiote here, and that he's able to do the heal reversal that basically no one else in that entire challenge can do. So because of that, even if you have a 5-star, even if it's only rank 4 or maybe a 6-star rank 1, he has the utility to get those heal reversal fights down, and I do think he comes in at number 2. And then coming in at number 1, a little bit of a cop-out, but we have a tie. And it's because these two, I think, are absolutely essential for both of these challenges. And it's going to be a tie between Strife and Symbiote Supreme. And let me explain why. Now, Apocalypse as a clearing champion is one of the most important parts of the mutant run, in my opinion. And if you don't have a rank 3 Strife, you need a 5-star Strife or a 6-star Strife to give Apocalypse his synergy in order to overcome, the damage cap and just get big damage on his specials as the fight ramps up. That's what the Strife synergy does. So he's almost an essential piece of the puzzle if you're going to be mostly using Apocalypse or if you're going to use Strife himself. But Strife himself as a 5-star is surprisingly good. He's much easier to ramp up than Aegon, in my opinion. And I did this challenge already. I used my 565 Sig 200 Strife, and he absolutely smacked fights. A lot of damage per hit. He has the unstoppable countering. He also has glancing, which is a little bit of a safety net. You'll often go invisible after getting hit when he's high Sig. And if you do bring Cable, he's a pretty decent person for the Collector because he starts every fight off with the 5 telepathic charges, which means you can immediately counter the unstoppable of the Collector at the beginning. So even a 5-star can do a lot of damage, especially if you're using team revives. To have that apocalypse, if you accidentally die, to have Strife come in and clean up, even as a 5-star, he can do a ton of damage. I would much rather have the high ranked 6-star apocalypse and the lower ranked Strife. It's just the way, and it's my opinion. Maybe some people would argue the other way, but I do think if you were going to have one as a 5-star, it's going to be Strife. And he did a ton for me. He was MVP when I fought Hyperion as well, because he was able to get rid of the Unstoppable. And I was so excited to actually learn this champion and use him, even though he was a 5-star. And then tied for number 1 is Symbiote Supreme, because in my opinion, you cannot do the Spider-Verse challenge at all without Symbiote Supreme, because you do have to take on these annoying characters that have Unstoppable. Yes, you could use a slow champion, you could use Stealthy or something, or you could use Spider-Man 2099 and keep the slow up. I'm sure there would be a way to do that. Hyperion is probably doable with Spider-Man 2099, but when it comes to Mystics, and then also when it comes to Venom the Duck, I mean, there is no better counter than Symbiote Supreme, and he really doesn't need the rank in order to do what he does. In fact, I used a 5-star, as far as I recall, when I was doing Abyss originally, and he did plenty, so I would highly, highly recommend ranking that guy. If you don't have him as a 6-star, he's an absolute MVP for all the cosmic fights in the Spider-Verse challenge. So that's going to do it for this list. Just to give you a reminder, it was Symbiote, Supreme, and Strife tied for number 1, followed by AntiVenom, Null number 3, Longshot number 4, and Void number 5. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Who do you think I left off? Is there somebody in your plan that you're planning to bring as a 5-star? How is the Abyss going? Are you just avoiding it completely? Are you trying to get this profile picture together right now? Is it fun? I'd love to hear. So please do leave a comment. Let me know your opinion, and we'll take it from there. Have a great rest of the day, and I'll catch you in the next one.